Anyway, so not only did, we see Wish today, we also saw Thanksgiving. And this video is purposely going up on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All the practical effects girlies. You're gonna love it.
Okay, so, if you haven't heard of this movie, it is Thanksgiving. It is the new slasher movie that came out at the same time as Wish. And,
Keep making strange double features.
Yeah. So, Wish giving.
I don't think Disney wants to be associated with Thanksgiving. I really don't.
For those of you who know me, I am a huge slasher fan. It's why I do the Friday the 13th reviews. It's why I started doing, the Dr. Blood reviews, which there's some coming in December. Giggity.
I'm more of a fan of my supernatural and cerebral horrors, mostly because I cringe a lot at some extended gore.
I
love it, but it hurts.
I love effects. We both work at a place called Frightmare, so we are always using, horror effects and stuff like that at our job, mainly on our faces and stuff like that. But I have often thought about going to school for practical effects in makeup and design and stuff like that. I just don't have the money for it. But, one of my favorite
contest shows?
Yeah, contest shows. I've always loved watching Face Off. So, that is one of those things that I've loved to do. So, the reason I love slasher films is I love the practical effects that most slasher movies try to use. Most slasher movies ignore the actual CGI and they go as corny and, unrealistic as possible, and this movie was great.
Honestly, that's the reason I still watch a lot of slashers despite my innate
You were cringing a lot.
I hid in my hood at one point. It was the oven. No, I can't even watch the end of Sweeney Todd properly. Man, no.
Okay, so
spoilers for the end of a completely different movie.
Spoilers. So with Thanksgiving, the entire plot is basically one of the characters. What?
May I quickly say my succinct summary?
I suppose.
The true villain is rampant consumerism and capitalist greed. That is the inciting incident.
So the whole plot, you meet these two separate families, which, they're related in the way of one of the family's fathers works for the rich guy who owns this basically Walmart knockoff.
Yeah, it is very clearly Walmart.
Yeah, it's very clearly a Walmart knockoff.
Down to the blue and yellow branding.
And, this takes place on Thanksgiving, and they force the father to work on Thanksgiving instead of waiting until Black Friday to open. And in the process of everything, they show how stupid Black Friday shoppers can be by making them so bad.
It's basically every Black Friday horror story you've ever heard that's not actually true, but could be because of all of the isolated stabbings and tramplings that do occur.
So, this big group of people are trying to shop. The kids of the movie, because Dad happens to own the place. They get in early and, they start shopping and they're bragging about getting in before the doors actually open.
Very specifically, this one dude is taunting the crowd. Like, he is the biggest asshole. And honestly, I was kind of glad when he died, because he's just a dick the whole time.
Oh, Fletcher?
He parks in a handicapped spot.
Yeah, he's a dick.
He's constantly being an asshole.
I like the character, but because he's that asshole that you want to get killed, every slasher movie has that character. He's the one dude you want to die, and, when you see the slasher kill him, there's nothing more.
The final girl is very obvious from the start. She's also the only one with any goddamn common sense, but that's...
Yeah.
The final girl role is the only one with common sense.
Right. So, in the process of, people being trampled, the worker who is forced to work, their wife ends up getting trampled, and basically her face is smashed by carts, and...
I think it was the way she was laying, one of the carts, like, between the two, her neck snapped.
Yeah. Well, at first she got her head smashed, and then it pulled.
Yeah, and then she got partially scalped by a cartwheel.
Yeah.
Like the wheel on a cart, and that was,
Owie.
I love the way they did that. The effects were so nice, but also I'm sitting there, ow, 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 ow. I have very bad sympathetic pain responses.
So, that happens. One of the security guards ends up getting murdered by the glass breaking.
One guy cuts his own jugular on the broken glass on the way in, and then still goes just stumbling towards the waffle iron.
I thought it was funny because the girl fucking notices this guy is clearly dying, and instead of helping the guy who's dying, just steals the waffle iron out of his hand.
Yeah, so that's not me being a random communist asshole when I say that consumerism is the problem in this movie. It's actually very blatantly put in front of you. People are literally murdering each other for fucking waffle irons.
But...
Also, any Karen about to jump in here and defend Black Friday?
It is the
Both
dumbest...
of us have worked retail. We already know that.
People are stupid. I do not shop during Black Friday. If I see a deal, I will go online. It is stupid. People murdering people over a fucking toaster or TV or whatever.
Thankfully, actual deaths and injuries are relatively low. It's mostly just a bunch of snotty, unpleasant people in a rush for no goddamn reason. But isolated incidents
As if,
happen.
the store is not going to run out of whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, pretty much everyone who has ever worked in retail goes, Black Friday. No, thank you. I'm going to sit at home. Fuck all of this.
And mind you, I work in a restaurant, so I don't actually have to talk to customers. I just know it's going to be a fucking busy-ass day.
I've worked retail management. I have seen hell.
But, so after that incident, it jumps to a year later, and, the business owner is ignoring everything that happened the year before, and is just focused on, making money, and is still planning on opening Thanksgiving.
No, let's be fair. He knows what happened the year before, and he is concerned about it because of his own optics.
Yeah. Like a typical rich person, they're more concerned about making money.
Mm-hmm.
And, they are focused on, not actually... heeding people's warnings. It gets to a point there's protesters about it. Like,
I fucking would have been too.
Right? And it's not Thanksgiving, it's thanks buying.
If you're going to go shopping on Thanksgiving, please don't.
So, the killer starts, with the first Karen, which was funny.
The practical effects. Okay, anyone who's ever worked... Okay, so this is actually pretty universal. Have you ever stuck your tongue to a frozen light pole? I'm sure you did that as a child. I never did because germs. Or if you've ever worked in a kitchen and like the walk-in, have you ever washed your hands and then gone in the walk-in and kind of felt your skin kind of stick a little bit if they were still damp? once you touch the cold freezer
if
door.
you don't dry your hands off before you go into a restaurant freezer, you're a fucking dumbass and don't need to be working in the fucking restaurant. Period.
I've dried them off. But those fucking paper towels they give you don't do shit.
Okay. Either way.
You know the cheap-ass paper towels they give us.
Not at my restaurant.
Well, mine then.
As someone who runs a restaurant, no. I wouldn't want someone who's as unintelligent with something like that. Because I'm not paying those bills.
If you would fucking listen to me, I've done that. So stop insulting me. And it's not like my hands were sopping wet. It's, when you dry your hands, but there's just that little bit left. And, you're trying to get shit done, so you kind of don't think about it. And there's just that little, not even wet, just kind of slightly damp. So it's just like that momentary sting of, yep, right, that happens.
No, I've never done that.
Well, stop acting like you're better than everyone else.
I'm not acting like that.
I'm
just saying in my 17 years of working in food.
Look, we have shitty paper towels, alright? It gets busy. I do what I have to. That's also why, just out of habit, I tend to not touch metal in the walk-in. Anyway, I push doors with my elbow. It stings enough even if your hands are dry. I ain't doing that on purpose.
So,
anyway.
He starts killing off all of the people that he believes, wronged him. Starting off with all the throwaway characters with, the Karen who is part of the reason so, since we're doing spoilers.
Okay, major spoiler for the end. Click away now. You've been warned.
No, I'm not doing that spoiler.
Okay.
That's part of the twist.
We're not going to say actually.
No. The Karen is responsible for the lady dying. So, she gets killed off first.
He soaks her in water and sticks her to the inside of the walk-in door.
Wait. Even hurt me. Mm-hmm. And the practical effects for that were really great.
I really think they just put liquid latex on the hair and stuck her to it before it was dry.
That's what it looked like. Yeah. It looked like liquid latex and scar tissue wax. It looked like Ben Nye stuff, too.
Especially because they didn't show the actual damage too much until after she had fully pulled away and there was a cut. So they probably did the base so the color would be right, stuck her to it while she still had wet liquid latex on her, and then quickly filled in with the burn wheel and everything after she got pulled off before the next shot.
And if anyone's asking, yes, I do plan on doing a Dr. Blood episode on this, but I'm going to save it for next year's Thanksgiving video.
But yeah, she doesn't actually die by freezer door, because I really thought he was just going to soak her in water, stick her to the door, and then close it and let her freeze to death, which I would have done, because, slow, painful death. Those things most of them have safety locks on the outside, but if it swings open, or safety locks on the inside, so if you get locked in, you can turn the wheel and open it from the inside. But if you were to slide, say, a heavy metal work table in front of it, that wouldn't matter.
But instead, she manages to pull herself off when he stops fucking with her. And does the typical, oh my god, am I going to survive? But, it's the first death that they're not going to survive.
Can we talk about the fact that she was trying to do fingerprint with bloody hands, with her fingerprints ripped off, and face unlock with half of her face ripped off to call 911 instead of using the landline that we see in the shot behind her?
Yeah, that right there just shows how stupid some characters are. But that's, part of...
She also left the safely locked manager's office.
Facts.
Are you looking to see if it's actually recording?
No, keep going. I need to plug the camera in before it dies.
Okay, yeah. So, spoiler alert for the first kill. She ends up getting cut in half by a dumpster. I'm so glad that was empty. Your flailing feet.
I didn't mean to kick the Pepsi can. So, yeah.
And her bottom half impaled on the sign at the Walmart store.
Yeah, well...
I'm just calling it a Walmart. It's basically a Walmart. Let's be real.
And so she gets crushed between the dumpster and her own car. And, instantly split in half, which was cool because, I mean...
one of the many things in this movie that I'm like, there's so many reasons that would not work, but I'm not going to question it because I fucking love it.
Typical
Those
slasher
dumpster
movie.
lids are not that heavy, y'all.
Or metal, usually.
Yeah. They're usually
they're
plastic, specifically so no one gets bifurcated trying to dumpster dive.
Yeah, but, so, after that happens, you know...
I just realized she couldn't find her keys because he stole them out of her purse while she was in the manager's office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, you know, that kill happens, and then he starts using Instagram. This was one of the funny things that I found hilarious. It keeps tying back to using social media. Like, you know, you can't tell that it's actually Instagram or TikTok, but it's basically...
very clearly Instagram.
Yeah.
The UI is... It's kind of like Unfriended technically did not take place in a Skype call, but you could tell from the UI it was Skype.
God, that movie was bad.
I love that movie.
But, you know, he starts tagging, you know, in his John Carver mask and persona.
Yeah, because this takes place in Pilgrim, or in, basically in Pilgrim, in Plymouth, because Thanksgiving.
And he starts tagging everyone that he is clearly targeting. And the kids, they just think it's a joke at the first.
And then the lady's killed and he updates, and then they're like, oh shit.
Well, he doesn't update after her death.
That's right. He updates after the second one.
Yeah, because the first post is a picture of a dinner table with every character that he is going to blame with their, you know, names on the things, including, you know, Scuba.
Oh, I'd like to point out, the reason for his use of social media is because Dickbag, I forget the character's name, so we're just calling him Dickbag, the one who was taunting everybody, filmed and uploaded, you know, actual deaths.
Yeah.
And then the icing on the cake, I could only think of fucking Logan Paul when I saw this, was R.I.P. to the victims with the little prayer hands emoji under it, and I'm just like, you really just took a pot shot at Logan Paul, didn't you?
Yeah.
You really did. With like and subscribe following it with the fucking obnoxious... Like, we just taken pot shots at certain YouTubers that I definitely name dropped, and I don't regret it.
He's an asshole, and doesn't deserve the title he has, but that's completely another wrestling-related
Neither
movie.
here nor there. The second kill...
is the security guard that ends up running away when people start breaking into the store.
And I would just like to interject, as someone who watches a lot of documentaries, a lot of them on, like, crushes and tramplings in crowded spaces, within the first 2 minutes of this setup, I could see about 8,000 different ways in which it could possibly go wrong, and I was correct. Like, there's no crowd control, that you lock the doors so you create a potential for exactly what happened of a crush, and, like, y'all didn't do anything right.
And that was the point.
And it was all because of greedy cost-cutting measures, not hiring enough security, not, you know...
Literally hired 2 people for a fucking Thanksgiving night.
And then for backup, covered in 1 sheriff, after you've already got an angry crowd. Like, y'all, this is fucking crowd control.
But, so they kill the, second guy. I mean, we could just go through each death if we wanted to.
Honestly, the only thing I really want to mention on the second guy, it was a basic kill. With the electric turkey carving knife.
Yeah, which was cool.
But, the thing I really want to bring up about him, the guy had a cat. I was worried they were going to go, oh my god, they're going to kill the cat. Nope. He sees the cat meowing pitifully after his owner's been murdered.
Decapitated.
He feeds the cat, gives it scritches, and walks out.
Which was cute.
I'm like, me, if I finally snapped. I would do that.
Like, literally fills the cat bowl as full as it can go.
Like, cat meows, he looks over, sees the empty food bowl, so fills it up, gives him water, gives him scritchies, walks out. And you know what? He's got food for a little bit, too. If the food bowl's empty, he'll absolutely just start eating his owner's corpse.
So, they eventually find the second body. So now they're taking everything serious because he does a second post where he takes the security guard's head and
Puts it on a plate.
Puts it on a plate with the top half of the Karen and
in the chair. Cross.
And takes a picture, posts it. The first two guests have arrived. That caption was hilarious. So then everyone starts taking it seriously because the second person has died. And then he starts going after the kids. But he doesn't actually kill the kids. Instead, he doesn't kill any of the kids. Because if you remember, the one kid that did die before the dinner scene accidentally died with the saw.
He killed the two kids from the other school.
I'm not talking about them.
I'm just saying, you said kids, you did not specify.
I completely forgot about the other two. Yeah,
I did not forget about that trampoline kill. Knife up through the bottom, foot... No, that I looked away from the screen. I could not watch that.
So, I forgot about this scene. He kills two of the other people who were responsible.
You can tell they're going to die immediately because they're like going off to fool around.
Yeah.
And that is just slasher movie.
The typical couple that's going to leave. He just goes... Twists his neck. That was awesome. The practical effect on that was great.
God, yes.
And then, so basically they're starting to fool around. She's jumping on the trampoline.
She's doing a strip tease on the trampoline.
And stripping as she's trying to do things. Gets her panties off. And in the process, he stabs her from underneath the trampoline.
He just stabs the trampoline and lets her fall onto the knife. And it goes straight through the bottom of her heel and out the back of her ankle.
And then when she collapses, it goes through her back and then through her throat.
Yeah.
So those effects were great.
Very good effects.
So then he starts going after the main characters. But instead of actually killing them off, he chloroforms Fletcher and Gabby. Tries to get Jessica, but she ends up outsmarting him while they're in the school, and she manages to get to the cops.
I want to know if the fucking Russian mafia dad survived, because wasn't that the same tranquilizer dart he shot the others with later?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Russian mafia dad's probably fine then. Yeah, one character's dad is very clearly like Russian mafia, like...
The corn cops.
Oh god, no.
There's a scene where the girl, the mafia daughter, she is, trying to put her eye contacts in. They're trying to escape and go to Florida because of whatever.
I say he's clearly a mafia dad because he knows shit's hitting the fan. He's like, fuck it, we're going to Florida. We're getting out.
And the killer picks up corn cob skewers and shoves them in her ears, clearly puncturing her eardrums, and that...
Which is why she couldn't get up to run away, because you puncture your eardrums, your equilibrium goes completely fucky, and you can't stand right because you can't balance yourself. Because, quick anatomy lesson, for those of you who don't know, most of your balance is regulated in your ears. There's fluid in your inner ears that helps you kind of like... We're basically all water levelers. That little bubble.
Because here you learn science.
Yeah. Like the 1,000,001 ways most of these kills would not have worked out. Except for the table saw. Do not fuck around with table saws, children. My god.
Yeah, so, her boyfriend and Jessica, the main survivor girl, they stop him from kidnapping the blonde girl. But in the process, they run into, a area of the house that was being worked on, and there's a table saw.
He turns it on and just shoves her and lets gravity do the work.
Basically.
And you just see her fingers just getting... And I used to work in a wood shop. I've worked with table saws. This was my literal nightmare. Every time I worked on a table saw.
Yeah, and when that happened, you grabbed my arm, and I don't think you realize you grabbed my arm.
Because I've worked near those things, and I know. Oh, no. You could not pay. Look, I don't care who the fuck was trying to get my attention in that wood shop. If I was on the table saw, I was not fucking looking up until my hands were clear and I had stepped back. Then you could talk to me.
And she ends up dying in her boyfriend's arms, which I don't know how I would handle that.
I feel so bad for poor Scuba. Like, I don't expect slasher movies to handle post-traumatic stress pretty well, but they kind of did it. Scuba was, like, his acting. Whoever played Scuba, I love him. Also, the black guy doesn't die in this one.
Yeah!
I was so proud. Go Thanksgiving. Inclusivity, we love it.
So, basically, once he kidnaps everyone that doesn't get killed off, he takes the mom at first.
To be real, the mom is one of the few people who kind of deserved it, because she was the reason they were open on Thanksgiving in the first place.
Like, she was a gold digger, basically.
Yeah.
But she gets baked in the oven.
That was the one where I was hiding in my hood. I don't handle heat injuries very well. I had a traumatic experience with a hot glue gun and a third-degree burn when I was, like, 7, and no, I don't do heat.
And, I mean, this thing was a huge, like, human-sized oven. And he bakes her
Who makes those?
I don't know, but he bakes her in the oven, after spreading glaze on her, which was kind of a
He starts at the
scene.
feet, and someone somewhere is going to jerk off to that. I absolutely guarantee it has already happened. Someone has already clipped that scene and used it for their own weird purposes.
And now we need to age restrict this. My children watch this.
Ma'am, it's a slasher. Were we not going to?
No, I wasn't going to originally.
It's a slasher! Then again, it's like the one slasher I think I've ever seen that didn't show tits, so.
Either way, like he gathers everyone around and literally serves her up on a platter.
His one-liner was really funny.
A lot of his one-liners were funny.
Until they unmasked him, and then they just got lame.
Yeah. I don't think they should have unmasked him until the end. I don't like how it was revealed.
I do, though. I do. Mostly because I saw it coming, like, right before it happened. But we're not going to tell you who.
One of the things that we forgot to mention was the typical red herring of these two characters could have been the killer. Were the two guys fighting over the main girl.
3, you forgot the dude whose wife died. Mitch. The one who ended up protesting.
Mitch was not fighting over Jessica.
I know. That's why I was saying you forgot him.
I didn't forget him.
But he was one of the red herrings. So you did.
I said 2 of them were.
One of the red herrings was Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch does a bunch of stuff, and there's a scene where he puts on the mask. I love the clown kill.
Yes. But also, once you see the Pilgrim, like, once you see John Carver, like, his full body, you can rule out Mitch. Because John Carver is, like, taller and skinnier, and Mitch is kind of, not a short, dumpy guy, but he's got a dad bod.
Yeah, he's heavy set. But they're the 2 guys. One is a quarterback who gets injured during the incident.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Pitcher.
Sports are dumb. Anyway, he gets injured. Someone steps on his hand and completely breaks his...
Like, this was this way, that was that way, this was me. That hurt me to watch.
Great effect, though.
Yes.
And he ends up ghosting her for a year because he blames her for him getting injured, and in the process, she gets with the other guy.
Honestly, I kind of get him blaming her, because she's the one who drags him in the first scene. Like, don't make me do this alone. Like, when he's standing there in the apology saying, well, I made the decision, going, bitch, no you didn't. She dragged her ass in there. She begged. It is her fault.
But, so, they're the red herrings that each slasher movie typically has. But once everything happens, when everyone's kidnapped and they're on the dinner table, in the earlier scene, Jessica and Scuba had managed to go to
McCarty.
a different character who gives her a ring that has a built-in blade in the ring.
It was his dad's ring, and he said his dad had said it saved his life in Iraq or something, and to wear it for luck. And this guy, first of all, his dad sells alcohol to minors. Kicked kids off of his lawn for not knowing who Black Sabbath was, which totally valid reaction.
Facts.
Who's Black Sabbath? Get the fuck off my property. He pulls guns out of increasingly random, nonsensical places that I'm just looking at all of these going, I wonder if my dad's tried these hiding places.
But they use the ring to escape while, Fletcher gets his head beat in with a meat grinder. Or tenderizer, not grinder.
Seeing as he's the one who filmed, incited, and uploaded, he had it coming.
Which, by the way, he does all of this on basically TikTok Live.
Yeah, once they're all at the table, he's on live and taunting the police. Because the first live is coming from a spoofed location that is just filming a monitor. Which is great.
Which was honestly kind of brilliant.
I loved that.
But from there, they basically, when they manage to escape, this is where the whole concept of, they always do one thing to give themselves away, which, in this process, while Jessica's running away, they happen to go through a
Brambles.
Thickle bush.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm trying to say and can't do so with my freaking tooth lisp.
Thistle.
Thistle. Fuck you.
All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. I love you. Anyway, he's going through a thistle bush.
My spouse is an asshole.
You knew this when you married me.
But yeah, so Thistlebook, but...
That wasn't even the hard word.
Fuck you! But she notices that he's got thistles on his legs, and it ends up being, the sheriff that has been helping her the entire...
we weren't going to say who it was.
No, I said we weren't going to talk about that part.
That was the part I was talking about.
Oh, well...
What is the other that part?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but yeah, spoiler!
Trying not to spoil that, but anyway.
But yeah, so... Obviously...
I was just going to go watch the shoes, like Scream.
Yeah, watch the shoes.
Well, too late now unless you're going to edit that out.
No.
No, edit out when you said it, just so they're like, what the fuck?
No.
Ugh, rude.
Too much editing.
It's editing out 10 seconds.
I don't want to do it.
Oh my god.
But, so, yeah, I didn't mean to... If you're watching...
Cover it with a turkey gobble.
If you're watching this, you're gonna end up wanting the spoilers anyway, so...
we do post spoiler warnings and everything, and I'm
right.
sure you put up in the description spoiler warning.
But, so, she eventually gets away, through her ex-boyfriend's help, which she ends up blowing up this fucking giant turkey balloon.
That was another moment where I'm like, there's 1,000,001 ways this would not work. Not least of which because she used a charm bracelet as ammunition in a goddamn blunderbuss. I'm sorry. Pirates of the Caribbean with that goddamn cannon scene has spoiled y'all. You can't just shove any random piece of metal down a gun barrel and expect it to work.
Facts.
That's not how projectiles work.
But, to the point of this video, if you like horror and slasher movies, you're going to love this. This is one of the best slasher movies I've seen in a long time.
It's so good. So many practical effects. It's so funny.
It was great. Honestly, I would put this slasher up there with you know, the likes of Friday the 13th and Freddy.
The only warning I have, kind of you should be aware of this because it applies to most slashers. If you have serious problems with gore, obviously, I'm sure slashers are not your genre to begin with. This one is no different. There is a lot of gore. No tits, though. So if you're like, I'm fine with the gore, but I want my horror to be more clean, there is ass, but no tits. So, take that as you will.
No, I wanted the boobies.
Well, go watch Friday the 13th again.
Or I can, you know, I do still need to finish the script for the movie I'm watching.
Yeah, go watch the other slashers. Literally pretty much any other slasher will have boobs.
So, if you like slashers, go watch Thanksgiving. It was great.
If you want a slightly cheesy Thanksgiving horror movie.
Mind you, you know, as someone who watches slashers a lot, it was predictable.
Yeah.
Neither
of us caught the...
I didn't catch who it was until, you know, it was revealed.
Was it when he was on the ground? Because that's when I caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain moment at which it just clicks and you're like, oh!
Yeah. And then you think back and notice all the signs.
Yeah. It makes sense.
But, that being said, thank you for watching. Happy Thanksgiving.